So I thought I'd walk you through this demo because it was easier to explain the concepts than try to create callouts, which sometimes I do. So this is the PowerFlex Manager. This is 4.0, the way it displays. So what we're going to do in the demo is I'm going to show you how to do what is currently the only supported way to get from SCSI over to TCP on the PowerFlex. This would be the same thing you would have to do on other storage arrays. In the PowerMax space, we go from either fiber channel or iSCSI to FC NVMe if you're on the PowerMax 2 or 8000 or TCP in the 8500. So the first thing I should note also about the environment is PowerFlex is supported on 7.0x. There's no vSphere 8 support yet. Since vSphere 8 is technically not GA, it's still in initial availability. There's still time for that. So we're using a 7 environment, which majority of the customers are going to be running 7. So let's go over to this block menu, look at our volumes. I've made it very simple with just the single volume I have here, which is available. 512 gig. On the PowerFlex, we create volumes in 8 gig increments for performance reasons. Thin device. Over here on the right, you get a little topology. What it does show you is we have the 3 SDSs, the 3 servers, because I only have 3 nodes that are running, that have access to storage, and then 15 devices. So you can see the device itself is going to be actually spanned across those 15 devices. You know, you get nice scalability there and performance. And I have it presented to 4 hosts. These 4 hosts are my VMware environment. Protocol type is SDC. So just think about that as it's SCSI. SCSI connectivity, it's IP-based SCSI connectivity. It's not iSCSI, it's SCSI-based connectivity. So think of it more like fiber channel, right? Even though we're doing IP, you know, it's SCSI-based. So if we pop over to our VMware environment, I have 2 virtual machines in the PowerFlex environment, and they are located on a single data store for PowerFlex, which is SCSI PowerFlex. Okay. My device backing, you can see over here, they use the extended universal ID EUI as opposed to the NAA, which you might be familiar with also. Doesn't make a difference. 512, and if I go over and I look at, if you want to see how it presents, if I look at a host, I would go to my storage adapters as I would for TCP or iSCSI, or in this case just SCSI. And I have an adapter here which is indicated as fiber channel, no model. This is the SCSI presentation of the PowerFlex. So here's my fiber channel devices, SCSI presentation. Just these are accessed via IP. They're not accessed via fiber channel. And there's my data store. Okay, so the object here is what we want to do is let's present a device down to the environment on TCP, and then we can move our virtual machines over to the new device. So if we look at our host here, I have an NVMe TCP storage adapter. Okay, my controllers here are already set to my PowerFlex array. Okay, and if you recall from, if you read through the post, I have an SDT, which is what the target is on the node. And here I have a NIC. This is vMNIC 5 on this adapter. For TCP, it's a software adapter. And it's talking to the target, 2 different targets on the PowerFlex. So the SDT here, these represent actually 2 different SDTs on 2 different boxes. So I'm using a quote-unquote multipathing. Okay, so no devices here. Let's go out and present one. So we'll go back to our volumes. We'll create a volume. We'll just call it TCP. We'll also create it as 512. Again, here the size has just got to be big enough to support whatever virtual machines exist on the original. So when you're doing an online migration, this might be a good time to either, present larger devices for growth, or maybe you've decided that these virtual machines aren't going to grow and you have way too much available space in SCSI, so now let's reduce it since I don't need it. And I'm just going to go with the initial storage pool, which is the same storage pool that my SCSI is in. And we'll have a new device here. Now remember, a device can be presented to a host either as SCSI or TCP, just not both at the same time. So we'll click on the device. We'll go up to mapping. We'll map. If you run a PowerMax, you'll see this quite a bit different. In the PowerMax world, we create what are called auto-provisioning objects, masking views with initiators and port groups. Here we don't do that. We simply present, we simply map them directly to the hosts, okay? So here I'm filtering on SDC, that's my SCSI. Let's go to the NVMe, and NVMe, these are my TCP hosts. So we'll just grab all those and we'll say map. And that's it. So that device now should be mapped and available on our host. And there it is. So nice thing about TCP, if you don't know, is that it's automatic recognition of devices. You don't have to rescan adapters like you do with Fiber Channel. They're immediately available and you can see them. So let's go create a data store. And vMFS. Oh, here's my list of devices. Here's my 512 TCP disk. We'll just name this TCP. Pop through vMFS6. We'll leave unmap as is and finish that up. So now I will have my TCP here, and it should be available on all my hosts shortly once it resolves through the first one. So there, resolved. There it is, okay. Now we'll go over here back to our PowerFlex and click on our virtual machine, which is currently located in SCSI PowerFlex. And all we're going to do is storage of vMotion. So we'll go to the migrate, change our storage. We shall go here to the end, pick our TCP, and then we can let that fly in between. So while that one's copying over, I did want to mention that the online migration as it is can be impractical for extremely large environments. We've done some analysis for some customers, and they could take a week to transmit all the virtual machines over. They're just huge. So as I note in the blog, VMware and us, we're working on a process to do offline. And the idea here behind that would be that most customers, 100% of their virtual machines don't have to be up 24/7. So you find out which virtual machines can have some downtime. And the offline migration process that we're developing, it doesn't take too long. The process, you're not down for a very long amount of time. But if you can sustain a little bit of downtime for virtual machines, then those machines would go through the offline process, and then the online process would be used for the ones that have to stay online. The nice thing that the offline process will offer is that you don't have to duplicate your storage, right? So you can see here, we've presented a second device. That second device is the same size as the first device. So we've doubled our need of storage, right? At the end of this process, of course, we can remove the old data store, we can delete the old device, but at the initial point of migration, you're going to have twice the amount of storage presented than you actually need. So just something to keep in mind. So that first one completed, and through the magic of pausing my video, I've started the process of the second one. just so we could get that one done too. So that finished, and you can see here now we're in the TCP data store. So both virtual machines moved. I might choose to come out and then um, just double check. I have no virtual machines here, and then I might say, well, I'm just going to delete the data store because I don't need the SCSI one anymore. And it's gone. And now that it's gone, if I wanted to come back into PowerFlex volumes, so having deleted that, I could come up here and then go up to the mapping and just unmap it, right? Because I don't need it anymore, I might as well just get rid of it. And then I can choose to, if I want to delete the device, I can delete the volume too. So it's gone, and for good measure, we'll just get rid of the volume. So that's it, migration complete. Obviously, my process was fairly quick given the 2 virtual machines I had, but hopefully, by the time TCP is still coming about as customers move to it, the offline migration should definitely be completed, supported, ready to go. And so that is kind of what customers will be looking at when they're trying to get from one environment to another environment. Partial offline, partial online, everything comes over, all the old storage goes. Thanks.